Welcome to the Edge of NFT podcast with your hosts, Jeff Kelly, Ethan Janney, and Josh Krieger. We aim to bring you not only the top 1% of what's going on with NFTs today, but what will stand the test of time. We explore the nuts and bolts and the business side, but also the human element of how NFTs are changing the way we interact with the things that we love. This podcast is for the futurists and dreamers, the disruptors and creators, the fans and connectors, and the makers and doers that are pumped about this ecosystem and driving where it goes next.
Today's episode features Matt Kalish, the founder, co-founder, and president of DraftKings and co-host of the Props and Drops podcast with none other than Gary V. Hailing from Lowell, Mass., Matt is a lifelong gamer and avid collector who has been a competitive player of fantasy sports, poker, sports betting, and strategy games throughout his life. As an entrepreneur with a passion for sports, technology, and analytics, Matt has been integral in building DraftKings to its current $20 billion valuation and making it one of the world's leading daily fantasy sports betting, and iGaming platforms. Matt, welcome to Edge of NFT.
Hey, gentlemen, how are you?
Great to see you, man. And
great to be with you.
Yeah. The question is, how's Gary feeling about the Jets after this past weekend?
I mean, hard to say, but the text message exchange that we had during the game didn't last very long. I don't think he was in the mood to talk. I hit him up because, before the game, he had a projection. He is pretty honest on his expectations. So he said it was going to be, 28-12 Patriots. And so I said, great, I'm rolling with like the Patriots running back defense stack now because I'm going to take that and run with it. So I took like Damian Harris and Pat Stee in my company league and then filled it in around that. And so the second TD was Damian Harris. He had like 80 yards in the first quarter. Pats were, throwing a shutout. So I texted him. I'm like, thanks for the alpha, man. I like really appreciate that. He was just like, seriously, don't text me. I don't want to hear from you at all.
Radio silence.
Yeah, he didn't want to talk during the game. It was pretty. Nice. It got out of hand. I think it was like 54-13 or something, right? So
yeah, something like that. Once it goes past 50, wow.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
This too shall pass, Gary. We're on to better things.
His hope is that if he owns the Jets, then he can like fix everything.
Yeah, there you go.
It sounds like a big project, like the stereotypical like girlfriend who wants boyfriends that she can fix or whatever. I think Gary's thinking that with the Jets, but we'll see.
There you go. All right. Well, I mean, we want to chat with you today, Matt, about your journey here. Just want to know, let's take it back a little bit. How did your entrepreneurial journey begin? And then how did that develop into DraftKings?
I started, I guess, entrepreneurial wise pretty late. I was about 30 when DraftKings really got my attention on nights and weekends. Leading up to that, I was in corporate America. I did 4 different jobs in corporate America. I started by, graduating from college. I had a engineering degree, computer science. And my first job was more engineering. And over time, by job 3, I had moved into business analytics at Capital One, which was probably the favorite corporate job I've ever had. And what I really liked about analytics was it reminded me a lot of poker. Like I was a huge poker player.
Nice.
And there was a lot about the math, the incomplete information, the game theory, whatever. And I used to just all through college and after college talk to all my friends about poker hands, and we had our chat rooms and stuff. And we were just going through situations and talking about the numbers and stuff. And so when I got involved in analytics in corporate America, I thought it was really similar. You're just going through incomplete info. You're trying to structure it to provide consultation to, marketers or whatever. And so I did that job for about 3 years, and that's where I met Jason Robbins, who's the CEO of DraftKings. He was somebody that I worked really closely with at that job. And then eventually we both ended up leaving to go to a company called Vistaprint, and that's where I moved
Oh,
from
nice. I've gotten business cards from Vistaprint before.
yeah. I always say like the product was not why we went there. It's not the most exciting product, but
Right.
what was great was about like what we were able to do there from our job standpoint. So we both moved into marketing. I was doing CRM, like customer retention marketing, and Jason started doing a lot of their reach advertising, like TV, radio, the stuff on taxi cabs that you see, whatever. I saw even the Celtics this year have the Vistaprint logo, if you've noticed that.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he started all of those channels. And so we had decent sized marketing budgets, and we were sort of moving from analysts where you're making recommendations, but you're not really like pulling the trigger on things, to like being on the front line of, we're running marketing channels, we're accountable for the performance, the results. And all during that time, we had the same hobbies. Like we were playing poker, we were playing fantasy, company softball league together, like all of that. And it was at Vistaprint that we met Paul, Paul, who turned out to be our third partner. And so all of us wanted to do something entrepreneurial. And it wasn't until like 2011 where we came up with the idea for DraftKings, which is initially it was kind of like, what if you could do drafts every day? And if the leagues were like over the same day?
Wow.
And just try to tap into a lot of what we liked about poker, which is like you can play when you want, you can quit playing when you want. There's no like ongoing commitment. And it's like a game that's not easily mastered or not easily solved. So what we saw in that was, it was a combination of everything we thought we were good at and we liked doing. Like it was all of our hobbies combined into like, that's what the product is. And then the things we thought we were good at were like analytics and direct marketing. So we're like, okay, we think we can build a product and attract and retain customers, probably, if the product's attractive. So we started working on it, just thinking it felt like it was in all of our sweet spot and that we could do it successfully.
That's incredible. I mean, you hang out with Gary Vee, who talks about hustle a lot. I'm sure there's a lot of hard work, undeniably, that's went into all this. But I think there's a lot of people who want to start a business that are kind of jealous of that story, Oh, we wanted to get entrepreneurial. We put together all the things we loved, and now we have a $20 billion company. That's pretty incredible. And I'm very happy for you that, despite all the trials and tribulations I'm sure you've been through, that you have something that you have a passion for. That's just really exciting.
Yeah. Nothing like bringing together the things you're passionate about and doing what you love, So one of those elements obviously is the daily fantasy sports side of it. Then you got sports betting that really took off with the changes in laws and regulations and whatnot. I think one of the questions we have is like, how does that tie into gaming and now NFTs?
Yeah, it's really evolved over time where I've been focused. DraftKings has been very fortunate in the sense that, Jason, Paul, and I have been involved from day one, even to today. We are heavily running the operation. I have a team of over 1,000 people at DraftKings. I do like all of our marketing, product operations, the promotions, like everything. Paul similarly has a team of like 1,000 plus people. It's product development, engineering, whatever. Jason's our CEO. He's the one doing, now that we're public, he'll go out and, do the quarterly earnings or whatever, right? He's doing fundraising, doing whatever we need. And so the three of us are still heavily involved operationally. And our focus has changed over time in the sense that, 10 years ago, there wasn't a lot that you could really do in online gaming in the US. And like, if you just think back 10 years ago, if you're watching a sports game, what were you doing to make that interesting? Like, not much. maybe you were on an illegal offshore sports book, or you had a bookie, or like my dad was a cop or technically was like a corrections officer, worked in a prison. So he would bring home like parlay card sheets, or like the pools from his work, the pools out of the prison, or would do like squares during the Super Bowl, I remember, or March Madness brackets, but that's kind of all that there really was. So daily fantasy popping up in 2011, 2012 when we launched, that was one of like the top ways suddenly in the course of a couple of years that people were like getting skin in the game on sports. And then when we just kind of followed that audience, like the people like me, probably like all of us, who you don't just want to sit and watch a game, you want to predict things, you want to play somehow, you know, like we followed where that attention was going from that audience, and sports betting was like a massive, you know, focus. So once that started opening up in 2017, we put tons of attention there. The same people doing sports betting are the same people that you see who are playing blackjack. They're the same ones, you know, other casino games are highly, you know, attractive and relevant to that same audience. And now what we're seeing in collectibles, especially since COVID, you know, starting with physical sports cards, I think in 2020 started to really ramp up, you know, like Q3, Q4, 2020, prices started going crazy. People were just really like zeroed in. And then first time I really noticed digital collectibles showing up was Top Shots in February, roughly. I know it was going on before that, but that was like more when it like hit my radar, like enough people were paying attention at that point. It's probably in the like tens to maybe 100,000 people were jumping in trying to get packs and things like that. And so that's really the first time that my attention started going there. But all of it was just this general idea of like DraftKings is serving a certain type of consumer. We call it like a skin in the game sports fan. It's the person that doesn't just sit on their couch and watch like the Patriots. They want to predict, play. They're playing fantasy. They're making, you know, sports bets. They're doing like whatever they can to get skin in the game. Like that's kind of the customer that we've been trying to serve. And so wherever that attention's going is where my attention goes.
That's amazing. It's such a distinctive group of folks too, right? Like you really highlighted it, and you guys have really plugged into this group of people. You can kind of see it's that same group, like you said, over and over again, doing these things, you know, making it interesting, right? So yeah. Cool.
I've always found it easy too, because that literally is like my personality type, what I do for fun anyway. So right. It's really just being myself has generally brought me to the right places at the right times. Maybe like a little slow in some cases maybe a little earlier, but you know, like I actually do like all of these projects. You know, I like all the products that like I'm working on and that I'm marketing, and like I use them personally. So it's been always a little bit natural to just follow the attention of our customer.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I mean, that's how this podcast started. Jeff and I have known each other for years, and we met Ethan, and like this podcast is a manifestation of everything we enjoy talking about, you know, and it's something we can do for years to come. And so, you know, speaking of podcasts, have had a chance to listen to Props and Drops, and feels like a very comfortable conversation. Like you and Gary are hanging out on the couch, having a beer, talking about the games for the week. But it's a lot of fun. You guys are covering NFTs, collectibles, trading cards, so much more. What's your vision for the podcast, and how far do you see this world of NFT collectibles reaching?
I think like crypto and NFTs have just such a crazy runway ahead, and currently are the thing is with crypto and with NFT and the communities around it in general that I found so amazing is I guess you'd say like the vibes of it are very distinct and extremely positive. So it's so nice to go on and make stuff like, you know, we're doing this podcast, or I'll go on with Gary, and you go on and you just kind of can shoot the shit. You can just talk about what's going on with the content, with the drops. if something I invest in or I buy doesn't go well, it's like a funny joke. If it goes really well, then I'm, the biggest genius in the world for one day. But we can just trade all these stories, talk, and there's an underlying sense of like the vibes are really immaculate in this whole, crypto and NFT space right now, and everybody in general is just so positive. And yeah, I mean, a lot of different products or projects where I've gotten involved in the community, it can be all different sorts of dynamics, but like this one in particular, I feel like a big part of why people want to be a part of these communities and like I want to get a Bored Ape or whatever is because you connect with like the vibe of the community that's in that ownership group, and that it's limited and that it's like something special, but the quality and like the dynamic of the community and the discussion so positive. So I think that will really over time like just be a source of like positive energy, a source of entertainment for so many people, almost like watching Twitch streams of people playing games or like anything else that you do where there's like these positive vibes. When I go on Twitter and I turn on the like Twitter spaces and I listen to Farouk or Deez or whatever, like these guys that every single day they go on for hours and it's just so positive all the time. It's like, how could you not be attracted to that, And so I think the combination of like what people already love about collectibles or what they already love about like that kind of speculation or whatever, combined with, the content and the positivity in the community is really like special.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. So it sounds like we both feel that this industry has really long legs, and it's going to be exciting. No one quite knows where it's going, but it's going to go somewhere fun and special and continue to sort of breathe positive energy into the world.
Yeah. Some of the projects too, you get the sense like they're so like scratching the surface of what's possible, and that there's so much innovation and disruption to come on how this technology will be used and built. And like the first project I ever bought was a CryptoPunk back in March, which is basically like no utility. It's an avatar. You just like buy it and then you have it. And then everyone makes jokes about how they can right click your avatar and then they own it. So that's all there is to it. But then over time, you start seeing more projects come out and people are doing different things. Like people put like royalties on them so that they're generating revenue that they can reinvest into the project and build like legit companies that have ongoing revenue against it. Then they're building these roadmaps that are like, I'm going to make content, for example, like we were talking about Deadheads, V-Friends, bunch of space poggers, like a bunch of these projects that have ideas of making content or movies or whatever. Cool Cats or Kongs that do the yield, Sup Ducks, they're doing yield where you get tokens and then you can spend them in a store that they make or whatever. So you start to see like more use out of the tech. And I think that even still what we've already seen is maybe like 10% of what we will see over the next year as like more and more engineers put their head down and get to work,
Totally.
Exactly.
Since you went there, I got to mention the gambling apes. I mean, you got this like little ape that co-owns a casino in Decentraland. I mean, how fun is that? I definitely was attracted to that project as well. And it just keeps going and going and going. Every week there's something new.
Yeah, Wild West in a way. But yeah, it's definitely really interesting. Like there's a lot of Wild West project building out there. And at the same time, I think the community kind of like governs itself really well, like almost better than anything I've ever seen. Where like, yeah, people hold each other accountable for good conduct and to maintain the positive vibes. And like, if anything gets out of check, then there's people to kind of get it back in check, So I think it's a good self-governing, like decentralized community, really.
Yeah, that's a lot of what we see in here. I'm talking to different projects and people in the space. I want to get a little bit to the marketplace that you recently built in partnership with Autograph. This is huge. What are some key elements of your platform roadmap, and when is Josh going to get to toss a football with Tom Brady?
Let's do it. What DraftKings ultimately has as like the rationale for doing anything here is an audience that is in the market, like buying lots of collectibles or whatnot. So the foundation for us is like we have a large platform that already has a lot of engagement, whether it's fantasy play, sports betting. We have millions of customers that are coming and playing those games. I always thought one of the toughest things with any collectible was building and maintaining the like attention of an audience. And a lot of like the projects I've gotten involved with, a lot of them are doing it through Discord. They'll just like set up a Discord, push through Twitter, community managers do their thing on Discord. And it's kind of like the center of the community, and like to keep ongoing attention for weeks and months after the drop is very difficult. Even some pretty good teams and good projects I've seen like struggle with this, and there's relatively few that I think have really like successfully done it for months, and we don't even know for years. Like we'll see how many people on day 366 are still checking in on their Discord, right? Like we don't even know because it's too soon. It's like too new. But the idea of like how fast that attention after the drop typically falls off, it's just like instantaneous. And in the case of DraftKings, we already have the daily engagement or weekly, people come for football or basketball or whatever, and it's very easy for them to also like kind of see what's going on with their collections, see what drops are coming. So I think that's like the unfair advantage of DraftKings, is having just millions of people showing up who are already engaged. And then from there, like we have the exact type of customer showing up that is in market, like people that are heavy, crypto adopters, like sports card collectors, non-sport card collectors. Like behind me these aren't even sports cards. This is Flesh and Blood, like a fantasy non-sports card game where I just have like boxes of these cards. It's like Steve Aoki, I know, is into MetaZoo, which is a similar game. Yeah. So these are just what the people in our audience are doing. They're collecting, sports cards. They're trading them with their friends. They're, day trading stocks. They're doing all this stuff, right? And so we just have like the perfect profile of customer as well to create a vibrant marketplace that has a lot going on. And that's like what we do best. On the content side, Autograph went out. That's our partner that provides the NFT content. They went out and did all of these deals with like Tom Brady, Naomi Osaka, Simone Biles, Tony Hawk. Like they had all these IP rights deals for name, image, likeness, marketing deals, whatever. And so that was the perfect like first partner for us to go live with, because they have such a great roster, good access to so many different sort of all of our favorite athletes. And they also did some deals outside of sports. For example, we're doing a drop that's with Lionsgate about Saw, the movie Saw. So they built like an entire concept around that we're dropping next week. So they're able to branch into like movies, pop culture, sports, whatever. And so it's a great partner. It's not the only partner that we'll work with, but that was like our inaugural partner to kind of go out and get the ball rolling at the current stage we're at. And what I think our audience should expect is that this is going to be an area that we're very focused. We're probably in like, warm-ups right now. The game has hardly even started, I feel like, in terms of NFTs and marketplaces and stuff. And yeah, as we get more and more content deals inked, as we build content in-house, as Autograph builds on their roadmap, I think it'll just get better and better over time.
Yeah. Congrats on...
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, congrats on moving so quickly. I mean, we run into people all the time. You had it where it was like, this is perfect for us, right? But we meet all kinds of people who know that NFTs are perfect for what they're doing. But, it's also a struggle to like find the right partners and make the right plan and get things going quickly, right? So congrats on building that and getting it going
it's
fast
a balance of like how fast to go and what's an alpha product or beta product or like whatever. And if you get in market, you see what the consumer sentiment is, you get feedback, you learn really fast when you're operating, and it's hard before you're operating. So we've always had a bias to like get a viable product out there and then iterate and talk to the users and stuff. So that's kind of how we looked at this one. And I think it was definitely like the right decision. It's clear that there's, you know, going to be a tremendous amount of innovation, lots of different plays on marketplace. Like you see Coinbase, Reddit, whoever, like every day there's an announcement, right, of someone who feels like, okay, a play for us is going to be an NFT marketplace. And so I think it's going to be very vibrant. There's going to be a lot going on in this space. And like the sooner that we could get in market, start building relationships with our players, start getting that association, you know, we wanted to go as fast as we could. We have like 20 jobs up on our site right now for the marketplace, and the team is like 5 people or something. So we're really, you know, we're ramping fast.
Hey, you might get somebody from our audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Please, first thing I'm going to put up on social is like the link to our careers page. I mean, we're heavily focused on recruiting. It's going to be, you know, we've done like 5% of the work. The team that's in place that takes the baton and keeps building and iterating is going to do 95%. You know, like we haven't even touched most of our roadmap, you know. So I think it's a matter of just get an amazing team in place and just like set the general rudder in the right direction, let customers drive the roadmap, and then we'll just be there to build tech, which is like what we do best ultimately.
Yeah, I think, you know, Tom Bilyeu said he's going to have one person on his team dedicated to each category of NFT. And it's just a matter of engaging with the community and figuring out what they want next, right? And certainly fantasy sports and NFTs seem to go hand in hand like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah. I mean, you even see some very direct plays like So Rare, for example, where it's almost like literally NFT driven fantasy, but there's tremendous overlap for sure.
And we're talking about some specific drops. You mentioned the Saw drop, which is pretty cool. As fans, are there any other drops that are forthcoming you can share that you're pumped about?
Yeah, roadmap is in terms of the drops gets revealed as it's finalized on marketplace.draftkings.com. And the main deals with Autograph that we've announced are, you know, they have multiple athlete deals. Also, Lionsgate has, we're talking about Saw. Lionsgate has a giant, you know, kind of roster of movies, so they're able to run with different IP around the movies that are in the Lionsgate roster. And what I like about Saw is that it wasn't just like a flat collectible with nothing interesting going on. They really like were thoughtful about, you know, they're making videos with the like jigsaw dude talking to the customer, and it's about collecting, you know, the traps and the schematics and keys, and you put them together and you get like a special incentive if you have the right combination of NFTs. It's like they're going a little deeper into the experience and putting like a wrapper of interesting like marketing creative around it that I think makes it more fun. Like it's much more fun if there's something going on like that.
Yeah, we haven't seen a ton of that yet. Like you said, though, it's really just the tip of the iceberg, right? Sitting, whether it's in the movie theater or in your house, right, and having the opportunity to do something different that's never been done before, whatever that may be. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, look, I mean, taking a step back besides DraftKings and what Gary's doing, what else are you pumped about in NFT land?
Oh, I mean, it's such a great question. There's every day, like obviously new projects every day, right? So it's hard to even like understand what's coming next. I feel like at this point, I'm almost like hearing about things after the mint almost every time now. And then like jumping into projects that have like a day or two of proof. And I feel like I'm the latest person in the world to the party. And I don't know if you feel that way too.
No, totally. Like we'll be doing like 2 or 3 podcasts in a week, and then come the weekend, I learned about 3 drops that I missed out on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I used to be, you know, minting projects every time, and if I didn't hit the mint, I would almost like forget about it. And then if it ran, I was just, you know, feeling sorry for myself. And now that's all changed. Now it's like there's so many drops, unless like something has traction, I don't even want to touch it. So like I grabbed doodles, for example, like, you know, this project.
Don't even get me started. I was introduced to that guy before it dropped, and then lost touch with him, and then found out it was like the biggest drop of the month.
Yeah, like missed the drop totally. Another one was the Kaiju Kings. Missed the drop altogether. But then like once people are showing interest in it, and it seems like it's not going to go like, you know, mint and then 0.034. Yeah, then I'm jumping in, and I don't mind paying a little more these days to feel like I'm in a project that's not going to just like be dead on arrival. And I also don't want to like clutter my wallet to an absurd degree. So I'm trying to be like
that's a whole issue
selective.
is like portfolio management. Once you get like 100 NFTs, like you need to hire someone just to keep tabs on what's going on there.
Yeah, I think I have like a lot of them are, you know, the airdrops that are like Polygon airdrops that or whatever it is that are just like not projects that you minted. So I get a lot of those, but I have probably like 1,200 things in my wallet. And I was looking at some people like I looked at Pranksy had like 42,000 things in his wallet.
Oh my
God. Like, how do you get
Amazing.
42,000 things in your wallet? It's by minting every project, and then you mint like
Yeah.
300 of everything. And yeah, I've been trying to be more selective and like wait for a little bit of momentum. I don't like hate the idea of people speculating and minting things right away, but I also think it's like if you want less air balls, I think it's a good strategy.
Well,
to, like,
In
look
some
for
cases,
momentum.
people just buy like everything too. We were talking to Tubador the other day, and he was just like, "I've not sold anything." He's like, "I just buy it. I don't sell a single thing. I just met, you know, that's it. That's his path." So
yeah, that's like the Gary V strategy of just never sell anything. I mean, that's not how I roll. I love to. That's like a lot of the fun to me is like buy, sell, trade. I've made like my worst trade was I traded a CryptoPunk for like the best deadhead, which I love the deadhead. So from like an emotional standpoint, I really am happy with it because I wouldn't have had access to it otherwise. But like value equation, very bad on that because like CryptoPunks went ham.
That's like the guy that
like
traded the 600th touchdown ball from Tom Brady for a signed T-shirt. Did you hear about that this weekend?
Yeah, I heard Ken Golden said it was worth 500K, and he just like, gave it away for a T-shirt.
No.
Yeah, poor guy. But no, I mean, I think that's exciting. I assume you'll be in New York next week for this will air next week as well during NYC NFT. Hopefully we can all get some real-time alpha at that conference and be a little bit ahead of things for at least a couple days.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited. And now with like the NBA season popping off, I'm excited about, you know, let's see how some different things in the NBA lane go. Like I was wondering, you know, will Top Shot start running now that NBA is going, and like renew the interest or whatever. But in general, it's just like so much dropping all the time. I feel like, you know, I'm just looking for something special almost at this point. I've been sitting back. I want to see some momentum on projects before I jump in and give it, because you can't give your attention to everything. You can't pay attention to like 200 projects. So I'm like, if I can pay attention to 13 or 15 projects, like I want to know that I'm jumping into something good. I don't want to have like a bag of like 60 NFTs and then hate my life for owning them.
exactly.
So, like I'm looking for a little bit of momentum or like something really innovative. Like one project that I feel like hasn't gotten love, but like I thought it was crazy, like innovative, was the Tom Sachs Rocket Factory, if you've heard of this.
No.
Where this thing, I'm just like all in. So basically he like built this NFT project where you have 3 parts to a rocket. It's like a base, a body, and a cone. And you have to get 3, then you mint them together, and it's one rocket. And then you like schedule it. He literally launches the rocket, makes a video, sends you the physical rocket. And he's like a legit artist, you know, like people are spending big dollars on Tom Sachs art. Like sends you the rocket, sends you the video of him launching it, and you keep like the NFT. Like that's cool. These like physical digital hybrid projects and stuff. So I'm like looking for weird stuff like that, like stuff that just really hasn't been reached that much. And like when stuff like that pops up, then I want to jump in, you know, if it's something weird.